Hey everybody. So I tried to make this video a couple times yesterday and I was having some issues. My husband is a computer guy, and because of that he constantly changes the electronic setup of our house, and I think he told me that we got a new router or something. I don't know, something about new something router, I think. But that means I couldn't get on to my own Wi-Fi because my husband wasn't home until like 11:30 last night because of work. So I couldn't get it uploaded, and I just didn't really feel like re-recording it on my phone. So I am doing yet another cart vlog. So I am going to upload the last video because it seems that it didn't upload. So that will be a little backdated, but it goes through the first meeting with Veggie and Bop. And now I wanted to talk about some of the progress we've made since that first meeting. So after that first meeting, we had to decide whether we wanted to continue on with them, which obviously we decided to continue. And after we decided that, the next step was to talk to the psychologist that had them, which I talked a little bit about in the last video, but basically because of the shortage of people working in this field in our area right now, we just don't have enough people for all the caseloads, and especially for each separate thing. So there weren't enough normal therapists to take on their case, especially because there's two of them. So the psychologist that works with the company we're working with decided to take their case and work with them. Anyway, so we met with that psychologist, our new social worker, because believe it or not, we have the best luck in the world sometimes. And right in the middle of everything, like our home study wasn't done. We were just talking about these girls. There's just a ton going on, and our social worker got laid off, and we're getting a new social worker. So that was a pain in the butt, like huge disservice to our process and a lot of other families' processes and a lot of other kids that she was on their cases. Anyway, so we were meeting with her, the psychologist, the new social worker who we had not yet met, and a state person who had evaluated these girls when they first came into the system, and then again a couple months later to see their progress and to make sure we knew what kind of delays, if any, there were going to be. So they gave us the rundown of their testing for exposure that may or may not have happened in utero, for cognitive abilities, and just kind of their where they fit in on like the normal age range. So when they had first come into the system, they had both gone into kind of a depression and just kind of shut down. And they were very worried that maybe there was some autism, but it doesn't seem to be the case. And they've both progressed quite a lot, which is amazing. They're making connections, which was a huge worry for kids in these kinds of situations. One of the big worries is that they aren't going to be able to form attachments with other people. And that can be a really big problem, because then not only do they not grow cognitively and emotionally and socially properly, but that's a lot of leaves, I know, but they don't necessarily take interest in any of those things, and don't particularly care if, say, something hurts somebody, whether it be physically or emotionally. So those kinds of things can be really, really awful to deal with. But those things don't seem to be an issue. They are a little bit behind, but they had been neglected, and there was abuse involved, and there was a lot of other factors involved. So in terms of delays, it was mostly, what we're thinking is, because of how they've progressed, it's mostly from neglect, which is awful, to be honest. It's just awful. But they're catching up. A lot of their delays stem from speech delays, because basically they just hadn't been talked to ever. So, when they came into custody, they didn't really have any words, and now they are 3.5, and they are probably on a 2.5 speech level, which is really good. Sometimes their speech is still quite garbled, and if you don't work with kids a lot, or if you haven't been around them a lot of the times it's hard to understand them. So if you, like I said, if you aren't around kids a lot, you probably wouldn't understand a lot of what they say. And some of what they say, even if you are around kids a lot or are around them a lot, you still don't necessarily know what they're saying all the time. So that's something we need to work on. But at this point, we're more concerned with getting them in our home and getting them to attach. But it does seem that they are making good attachments, so that's really good. Since that psychologist appointment, we were told to go home and think it over and to really make sure we wanted to continue with the girls, which obviously we did. And then we saw them on that Friday. We visited them in their home that they're currently in for the night. We went over to the people's house after they had eaten, and we played with them for a little bit with the social workers there, and then the social workers had some stuff to do, so they left and we stayed, and we ended up staying till about 10:30 that night. So that was kind of cool. And then we saw them again, oh my goodness, the next Wednesday, I believe, and we had dinner with them. Maybe it was Tuesday. Oh gosh, I can't quite remember. Shoot. Well, anyway, we saw them again, and we went out, or we didn't go out. We went to their home again, and we had dinner, and we stayed for bedtime routines. We read them a book and got them jammies on, which was hilarious. And I actually kind of feel bad, because I guess I made my husband feel a little bit bad. But, he's on this learning curve that most new parents are on, and he's learning with very mobile, active 3-year-old girls. So sometimes a lot of the things that in the beginning with newborns, a lot of first-time parents kind of take for granted how easy it is to put on a diaper or to, put on the pajamas. Well, he's now having to learn all those things with very stubborn 3-year-olds. So it was kind of funny to watch. I mean, it took him a good 10 minutes to really get Veggie into a diaper and pajamas ready for bed, because she just did not she wanted to stay naked, and she was doing anything she could to stay naked. So it was pretty funny. But after that night, we went out on Sunday afternoon. We met with the current foster parents to talk over things that they like, things that they don't like, what they knew about their story, where they were at medically with things, where they were at with things in terms of any state testing for them, because you really have to fight, even if there was severe neglect, even if there was severe abuse, even if there's this, that, the other factor. You really have to fight to get all the speech therapy, occupational therapy, whatever therapies they need from the state. So I really appreciate the fact that they are fighting for that for the girls. So we talked about all that. We did not talk about why they are deciding to not keep the girls. They seem to love them, but I have my suspicions, which I just won't put on here. And then that was last Sunday. So then we saw them again on Tuesday. We hung out at their place. Was it Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday? Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday. And then Saturday, we had them in our home for the first time alone. And it was amazing to have them come home for the first time. And then yesterday, they were home again for a few hours just with us. And that both days went really well. Yesterday, last week we went to the park. That's right. We went to the park. Anyway, sorry. Yesterday you could definitely tell that their brains are kind of feeling like something's up, and it's trying to work itself out in their brains, but they're not. It's impossible for them to really get what's going on at this point, I think. So tomorrow we go over to their house, and I will talk about that in another video because it's getting on to the next steps. But thus far, we've had a few visits with them, and we've had a few visits with them on our own in the house, and we have just been having a great time. We have a ton of pictures, and I can't share any of them, but it's kind of amazing because we were very open to any race. Excuse me. Sorry. We were very open to any race, any sex, any background, really, and they're white. And oddly enough, they look like they could be biologically ours. I mean, if you looked at a picture of all four of us together, there would not be anybody that would be like, oh, these kids aren't yours. It would be more like even people that we don't know saying things like, oh, look, she has Jeremy's smile, or she squints her eyes the same way you do, and things like that. So, and quite a few people have said things like that. So it's kind of amazing how that worked out in our case. But anyway, that's all I'm going to go for right now because it's getting dark. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.